Fake good one here, and eventually we will like, subscribe, share, comment, all that good stuff, help promote and rank up my channel. We're here to review Mortal Kombat 1995. Live-action adaptation directed by W.S. Anderson, who's gone on to do a shitload of video game movies. They're all pretty damn bad, but this one, surprisingly, isn't so bad in comparison. So, Mortal Kombat, the new one, drops the 2021 reboot, drops on HBO Max here soon, and I wanted to review this one and maybe do a video to follow up on that as a comparison. This one compared to that one. I've also done on my Subscribestar unedited reaction to Mortal Kombat 1996 animated Defenders of the Realm, the first episode. I've also done a reaction to this film unedited on my Subscribestar. You can find both of those at no cost. I didn't have my mic right in front of me, so the audio isn't the best on those when it comes to my voice being heard over the films. Now that I've learned my lesson, in the future when I do those kind of unedited reactions, I'll have my mic right in front of me so the damn movie doesn't overpower my voice. Anyways, let's go ahead and talk about Mortal Kombat. We all know the story on this one. You know, Earthrealm fighters are recruited to defend Earthrealm in Mortal Kombat.
Round 1. Fight!
Alright, so the positives on this one: Johnny Cage, Liu Kang, Sonya Blade. Each character has a different motivation that lures them to the island, quickly established for effective pacing. The first two acts are pretty strong. They introduce their characters quickly to otherworldly fighters and elements. Drawn to the island for Mortal Kombat, the movie features interesting sets, themes, lines, all accurately reflective to that of the games that this adaptation represents. Though a bit awkward looking and outdated, animatronic Goro is quite effective. The actors portraying Shang, Liu Kang, Kano, Johnny Cage, they all give memorable, likable performances. Johnny Cage and Kano perform, and even Liu Kang performs well as comedic relief. Not all of it sticks, but some of it does. And let's not forget the music. The music really gets you hyped, really gets you amped up, really gets you into it. Seeing characters like Sub-Zero and Scorpion on screen accurately represented, even though their costumes are a bit cheap looking these days in comparison to then, it was just quite impressive to see these guys on screen. Even Reptile, seeing these ninjas, these characters, all these characters is pretty damn enjoyable for Mortal Kombat fans.
Round 2. Fight!
Alright, so personal bias on this one: no blood gore, too many ordinary looking fighters, no round 1, round 2, fight. No test your might featured between fights that could have served as training in the film. The tournament isn't structured at all. It's all over the place after the first one. Hero characters don't have their outfits. Minor nitpick, biggest one that sticks out is Katana. Jack should have gone to the island and had his arms ripped off in the fight against Goro, instead of having this art-lean character that audiences and main characters didn't spend enough time with to really feel the loss, and didn't really see fight enough, or I can't remember if he fought at all, to feel like the odds were suddenly stacked against them. Sonya should have spared Kano in the result. Kano and her both should have been chained up, since neither character was used effectively after the tournament fight, and both were captives in K2. We couldn't get Jean-Claude Van Damme, who the character Johnny Cage was inspired by, in this film, because he went off to do Street Fighter instead, which is a pretty terrible video game adaptation in comparison to this one that's more respectful. I also would have preferred an older, accurate Shang-Chi as to the first video game, the first Mortal Kombat video game. Have him de-aged throughout the movie by sucking souls, which would have made more sense to me.
Round 3. Fight!
The negatives on this one: there are a lot of little moments in between fights, and even some fights, confrontations that are completely unnecessary and should be shaved, trimmed, or rearranged to give more attention to something more vital. Sonya has no depth, substance, or other expressions outside of angry scowl face and attitude, as she's given no credibility as a fighter. Despite killing Kano in a very slow fight, Tsung has some kind of weird infatuation with her. She's kidnapped, dressed up, and her hair gets fluffed. If these are the Earth's greatest fighters, then we're fucked.
Finish her!
Everything to do with Reptile in this film is bad, and it should have been left out due to the lack of convincing CGI that they couldn't afford. And for some reason, Reptile becomes a bunch of worms and roaches. Raiden is always laughing and smiling like he's high.
Sorry.
Shang-Chi is always looking into the audience when he's out of people on screen to tell your soul is mine. The fights escalate with no context provided, from facing human people in places where other people actually observe the fights to randomly in the woods with Scorpion and his weird living snake spear that's just bad looking. And it can start to feel like a bunch of random, out-of-order scenes just slapped together due to the lack of setup. Flawless victory is said several times, but it never actually happened.
Flawless victory.
And the character Arlene that our heroes barely interact with somehow devastates them when he dies at the hand of Goro, despite seeing numerous bodies pile up once Goro enters the tournament. So there's plenty of bad here, like Shang-Chi reverting back to his self instead of maintaining the look of Liu Kang's brother when he fights him. It would have had emotional pull for him to face off against his dead brother like that. It would have been a real challenge to overcome. People get knocked out in this film left and right all the time. Like, it's super easy, barely an inconvenience. Another thing is when Shang summons a bunch of undead warriors that he's captured the soul of. That's a great missed opportunity where he could have summoned the great Kung Lao, the ancestor of Liu Kang, and they could have fought in Mortal Kombat. That would have been a great selling point, a very emotional thing to have to go through, instead of a bunch of random undead warriors that we don't recognize, don't care about. And how did Liu Kang knock out the one wearing a helmet? If I remember correctly, he just like kicks him in the head or punches him in the head and then knocks him out.
Flawless victory.
I'd rate this one a 6 out of 10. It's pretty likable in terms of video game adaptations. It's not a flawless victory, but it is pretty well done in comparison to other video game adaptations. I'd consider Silent Hill to be one of the ones that are highly up there in terms of video games adapted to movies. This one's pretty enjoyable. It's not as god-awful as its sequel, which represents some of probably the worst video game adaptation ever. This one, and W.S. Anderson is responsible for some of the most horrible video game adaptations there is. But this one still kind of holds up, still withstands the test of time, even with its outdated CGI and crap like that. It's still pretty good in regards to video game adaptations. Like, subscribe, share, comment, all that good stuff. Help promote and rank up my channel. Watch my review for the new Mortal Kombat coming very soon. Coming with a K, because Mortal Kombat. Like, subscribe, stay awesome, rock on.
Fatality.